Well, for those of you who have been missing props, it's Total Prop Sunday. I got lots of props for this talk, and even need a table. But you know, when you're dealing with relationships, there's a lot to deal with, you know? We all have our relationship challenges. In the book called Beyond Belief, that wonderful book we've been reading by Alice Gardner. How many have been reading along with that book? Isn't it a terrific book? We've got lots of chapters to go. And on this one, we bring our wakefulness, our awakening, into one of the more difficult places, our conditioning in our relationships with others. Hell is other people. Yes. And in our relationship with others, we're dealing with the dynamics of our own inner self in a form we can see and work with in the world. So I used a while back the bucket, and I said, well, everybody's got a bucket of belief system. We said everybody's got their own BS, right? Their belief system. Everyone comes with it, they carry it with themselves. If you don't know what your belief system is, ask your friends. They all know. Why it's a surprise to you, we never know, but it always say, well, I'm not like that. Well, ask your friends, you'll find out you are. This is our bucket of BS. And on the bottom of our bucket of BS, we've got some mud. The more difficult things that we keep hidden. So here's Richard and his belief system, and then he meets Maureen with her bucket of BS and her belief system. And then we have what's called together a new relationship with an extra bucket list. Okay? When we first meet someone new, ooh, we sprinkle just a little bit of the best stuff on the top into that bucket. It's like, oh, wow, baby. I love you, I love you, I love you. There's nothing like young love, right? All the hormones and just coming together like, baby, you're the one. I'll love you forever. You're just what I've been looking for. You mean you think that way too? And for a while, we don't show anybody the deeper stuff inside of our own BS. We just show them the stuff we like. And it's like love being in love with itself. It's almost like we love unconditionally because we don't know what the conditions are yet. They haven't yet showed up. But you know they will show up. They have to. Every relationship is about healing your relationship with yourself. The relationship life we have are showing you the dynamics of your own inner self in a form you can see and work with in the world. That's why they're so wonderful and also so hard to work on sometimes. So more stuff gets poured into the bucket and we go a little bit deeper below the surface level of things. And we have that first fight. Do you remember the first fight and conflict that happened? Like, I guess we don't see eye to eye on everything, do we? And there's that difficulty in like, well, you're not quite the person I thought you were 6 weeks ago when we met. And so now we're in the romance stage, but the edges are getting kind of rough, you know? It's getting a little bit more difficult. And so the first fires of those relationship things, challenges in our bucket list, they come up, but we put them out, you know? Okay, we can get through this, but then more stuff, because we're emptying more of ourselves, putting more of ourselves into the relationship, and all of a sudden, stuff starts to come up that's from the bottom of the mud of our belief system. The difficult things that get placed there, like we said last Sunday, are core issues that everybody suffers from here. The major core issue is, I am not good enough. And that comes up in our relationship with other people. And that's when it can get really difficult, when that shows up. When you have your first mud fight with each other. It can get really hard when you begin to see things that maybe you don't want to see about that person. I can remember when Maureen probably looked at me after a couple of weeks, a couple of months and said, you know, you're really self-centered. You think the whole world revolves around Richard. You know, you think, like I said last week, that you're entitled to everything. You walk around like you own the universe. You don't care about anybody but yourself. I'm noticing that right now about you. I said, well, let me take a look at you, Miss Ruler of the Universe. Oldest of 11 people, you know, who thinks she knows everything better than anyone, and you know how to make it all right because you have everyone's solution to questions they're not even asking? My goodness, what about you? And that's when it gets difficult. You begin to deal with the issues at the bottom of the bucket. And that's when you need help. And that's when you enter into the spiritual life and the path of awakening. And then all of a sudden there's something greater going on and something greater available to you than just you yourself and that person. If you don't have teachings for awakening, you will grab your bucket and go find somebody else to play with and sprinkle a couple of more little wonderful moments in and have a romance stage for a while. And as soon as stuff gets tough, you'll go shopping again, looking for somebody else to repeat the same patterns over and over and over again. At some point, you've got to decide the buck stops here. I'm willing to take a look at this inside of myself. This issue that keeps coming up is not new news to anyone. It's my old stuff that keeps coming up for healing. This chapter 9 is about looking at your conditioning in your own self so you can see it in the world and then do some healing work on it with someone else. For me, it was 1979. We were in ministerial school. I had been through my first 7-year cycle with Maureen. We've been together 42 years. We've been through lots of 7-year cycles together, and that was a tough one. And I found a 3-volume set of books called A Course in Miracles. and it said, remember that when you meet anyone, it's a holy encounter. As you see him or her, you will see yourself. As you treat him or her, you will treat yourself. As you even think of him or her, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in another you will find yourself or lose yourself. Relationships became the top of my bucket list, and I added the word awakening, awakening, awakening. We keep meeting each other over and over and over again. Our sisters, our brothers, our aunts, our uncles, our siblings are not in our life by accident. It's a divine appointment to do the deeper work. And either you'll take the lesson now or you'll take it later. But you will see that lesson come up again. Have you noticed that it keeps happening again and again and again? In a new town with different people, and there he is, and there they are, and there is the whole thing all over again. So you get a chance to deal with it here and now. And devote yourself to a path of awakening, a conscious path of looking at those things, those issues and tissues inside of yourself that you've been running away from. So for Maureen and I, we had some stuff in the bottom of our belief system, some stuck mud in the form of, well, very early on, growing up with alcoholic, rageaholic fathers. We both had, and they were the Bobbsey twins. Alvin and Vincent were the same kind of person. They every day projected their rage and their energy onto somebody. It wasn't a matter of if they were going to project that energy onto you. It was just a matter of when. Every day, somebody would get it. They would blow up at somebody and throw their rage onto them. And you just were glad it wasn't you. So both of us, we developed survival strategies to deal with that. I had my survival strategy. One of them was get mad and throw temper back out, energy back out. Or the other one, which I talked about last week, going underneath the table, rocking back and forth and sucking my thumb to stay away from things. That was one of my survival mechanisms. That always shows up in every relationship with everybody. Maureen's was, she was the oldest of 11. She needed to be in control because her whole family was completely out of control. And so she needed to take control. And so that became something strong for her, but also a weak point as well. So we joined together, and I'm dealing with my stuff, and she's dealing with her stuff, and now we get to look at our collective new bucket list together. And the very things that I was weak in, she was strong in. And the very things that I'm strong in, she was weak in. So she's learning how to not have to think she has to control everything, and I'm learning I don't have to get mad at people or continually withdraw from situations as soon as they get difficult. And we've been together so many years now, we almost like one person with 4 eyes and 4 ears, and we see things almost together in the same way, but that's only after doing it for 42 years. This is not just about intimate relationships with a husband and a wife. This is brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers. Anywhere you do this work with anyone, you do it with everyone. Yes, any way you do this work with anyone, you do it with everyone. And when you can do it in the real hot-fire relationships, I'm telling you, man, there's such potential for amazing growth. That's why this chapter is a really big one, because relationships are the final frontier. You know? It's where we get to work stuff out. And obviously, it must be what we're supposed to be doing, because look around you. we do appear to be in relationships with other people with flesh on, right? So this must be where our greatest work and our greatest challenge is. That's what Jesus said, it's love God, love neighbor as yourself. So I was very, very young on the path when Maureen and I, we met, and it was about 2 years into the path, and I was still trying to do the family business, and I was on my dad's boat for a beautiful weekend, a gorgeous marina. I did so many wonderful boating things with my dad, and this marina was just perfect. And my dad had gotten this brand new video camera from someone in Kresge, Woolworth Company, or whatever, and I got up very early in the morning and decided to just go out and film things that I was seeing. And by the way, everyone is the director and producer and star of the movie called You're Alive. The movie camera's on your shoulder. If you're playing out the victim role, well then you play the movie called Victim, and you see that. And whatever you're working on, it's your movie, friends. It's your story. You can do what you want with this projector. It's just up to you. You can take things in and learn things from this. So I'm out there, and it was a perfectly blissful, beautiful, gorgeous, incredible morning. And the dolphins were out there, and they were just breaching, and I was going, look at those beautiful dolphins. And of course, I'm doing a running commentary, as I always do. I wasn't yet on stage, but I've always been on stage. You know, this is my life, the camera. So I'm just filming all these beautiful things. And then I come down the dock, and my dad is up on the fly bridge. I said, hi, Dad, good morning. And he's already starting to slam things up on top of the fly bridge where you run the boat from. I said, what's going on? He said, what do you mean, what's going on? I wanted to leave early this morning. I told you I wanted to leave early this morning. I said, no, we're going to a cove. It's just an hour away. We didn't need to leave early. Well, I wanted to leave early. And then I won't tell you the words he started to scream at me on the top of his lungs. And for some reason, I left the camera on. I got to film all this insanity that I live with every day of my life. Someone got this kind of insanity projected on them, and this time I was the projectile, the early morning receiver of my dad's rage. It was huge stuff, and the camera was filming it all. And then, of course, now half the marina is awake, all wondering if there's a fire or something going on, and my dad doesn't care. He's in his rageaholic attack, and he doesn't stop till it's done. And we pull the boat out, and he's slamming lines, and I went downstairs in the cabin, and I turned the camera. This is a big moment in your life. I turned the camera around on me to look at my reaction to what was going on here. Because relationships are not about trying to change the movie or the story of anybody else's life but yours. You turn the camera around. And I got to look at my contractive reaction as a result of having my dad dump on me, as he had done dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I got to see those reactive places in me, those muddy, sticky, stuck places in me. And I talked to myself. You see, the relationship you have to develop with God is first going to come through the camera lens of your relationship with being honest with yourself. And here I am. I'm a hurt, wounded child again, being curled up in a ball or wanting to get up there and kick his butt. I had two reactions, and they were part of the mud in my bucket. So I watched myself, and then I said, in 15 minutes, my dad's going to invite me to come upstairs to the fly bridge. He's going to honk the big horn, and you know what he'll say when I get up to the top of the stairs of the fly bridge? How you doing? What a great day! Wow, I wonder what the poor people are doing today, he'd say. He'd say, get me a drink. That would be his way of apologizing for what he had done. That was all he knew how to do. That was it. And I took that film and I kept it. And I've watched it several times. And I even shared it with Adriana, who was his third current wife at that time, who didn't stay with him too much longer after that. She actually left her body. But she cried with me, because he was doing the same thing to her that he did to me. Everyone's just doing what they're doing. When you have spiritual practices, it allows you to stop focusing in on what life is not giving you or showing you, and instead use those primary moments as a call to take a look at yourself and deal with what's going on inside of you internally. Because that's the only thing you can work with, is yourself and your relationship to God, because there is only one God. There is no separation from you or anybody or anything. So I've gotten to work on those things inside of myself. And they have come up over and over again in my relationship with Maureen. The power struggles that would happen as she tried to take control. And I had to project my anger, or a better one, crawl underneath the table and withdraw from what was going on because I didn't want to deal with anything. I have a master's degree, not wanting to deal with stuff. Just leave me alone. Or, hey, you. And both of those things are not bad, and they haven't left me. They've just been integrated into my life. The passion with which my dad expressed his rage is the passion with which I now get to share my truth. I'm not sorry that I got that part from him. And the wonderful way in which Maureen has had to take care of her family and take care of our family, she knows now how to do things now. She's a great organizer. She's learned how to integrate that in her own life to help things get done, but doesn't have the level of attachment or sting to, you have to do it my way or else. The beauty of all this is you don't lose the things you got from them, you are able to lift them up and use them for a better life for yourself and for others, yes? That's what we're here to do, to use our relationships to awaken to being authentically human and divine at the same time. And it gets more subtle than that. Now this is Havasu's bucket list. This is Havasu's belief system. It's called a food bowl. Now you know, I've told you that Havasu loves her ball. She loves her food more than the ball. Havasu gobbles food. She doesn't eat it. She ravenously attacks the food. It's just like, if we let her eat as much as she could eat, she'd weigh 80 pounds. And she's only this big, you know? So we have to measure out the amount that she gets because we know what's best for her. And so Havasu has a devouring relationship with every morsel of food that she eats. So when we wake up in the morning, we get up and we meditate every single day, and we feed Havasu, we let her go out, and then I take her dish and I put it up on the counter and we sit and meditate. But about 65% of the time, I forget to take the bowl and put it up on the counter, which then has Havasu do the next automatic thing that she does. She goes to lick the bowl. And she's licking the bowl. It's going all across the kitchen floor. And I tell you, every day I got to see how my day is going to go with how I react to the clicking and the clanging and the floor thing. I can tell right away, this is my slight irritation that can become intense rage. Now you think it's ridiculous. It's early in the morning, I've been sitting for 10 minutes, I feel a deep sense of calm, and how I get up and deal with that bowl means everything in that moment to me. If I get up and just go, Havasu, what's wrong with you? Stop it! I gotta go back to my seat and start all over again. Follow your breath, calm down, oh my God, you got caught again. It's just a dog, the dog's just doing what a dog does. Or, on a good morning, oh, I forgot the bowl. It's just Havasu being Havasu. It's just my dad being my dad. It's just the people in traffic. It's just him saying that and her doing it again. It's just what life does. You can't control other people. You can deal with your own reaction and turn the camera in on yourself. And it makes all the difference in the world when you practice this over and over and over again, because the outside irritation becomes an invitation to turn the camera lens around on yourself and deal with the only thing you have any control over, and that's yourself. Yes? So let's look at a lesson summation for a moment. I'll stop yelling and screaming at you. The key to healing our relationships with others lies in recognizing that every aspect of our life is related to all other aspects of our life. Nothing separate, it's all one. Every relationship is related to all other relationships. How we treat ourselves will determine how we react to the way others treat us. How we treat our planet will determine how the planet treats us. Well, how are we being treated by our planet now? A big dose of wake-up call is what's going on. 2, in our relationship with others, we can become aware of the dynamics of our own inner lives in a form we can work with in the outer world. Isn't that great? I get to see what's going on in me every time I look at you. Okay, let's go to the third one. The difficulties we have in our intimate relationships become signposts, alerting us that something within us needs our attention. We turn the camera lens in on ourselves and see that relationships can be a perfect setup in any one moment for awakening to the truth of who we are. Your task, Rumi said, is not to seek for love, but merely to find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. So relationships become a perfect tool to do just that. Two or more gathered together in the call to awakening can produce something wonderful after its kind on the planet, because everything and everyone is one. There's no one to blame. There's just a truth to claim. We don't blame some God outside of ourselves for what's going on inside of ourselves. We don't project our unresolved issues and tissues on some being in the sky or disguise. We don't call some other religion wrong or right. What we do is we awaken to what's true in each moment, and the world changes. The reason why we don't have 16,000 people here every Sunday is this is a tough path. It's called the path of personal responsibility. Yes. Not everyone's quite ready for that. But you know what? There are millions and millions and millions of us who are. And you're becoming the second coming of Christ. Not projecting and rejecting things outside of yourself, but owning them inside of your own being. And then you produce a beautiful bucket list of awakening concepts that you have the wonderful gift of sharing with others. We do this, my friends, one day, one moment, one breath, and one relationship at a time. And it's usually the perfect person in front of you who is your greatest teacher. Practice well, my friends, and practice deeply. It's not just for you, but for the benefit of all other beings who share this beautiful planet with you. Namaste.